I want to talk to you about seasons. The reason why most people get frustrated with any project they're doing is because it's out of season. Have you ever gone to a tree and try to collect the fruit from the tree out of season? You can't eat that. Why? Because it's not ready yet. And in life, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, we go through seasons. I don't know I don't know why, but those seasons they seem to run on a cycle of 7 to 10 years. All right. So I'm just gonna use the number 10 years, and I hope this will instruct you, inspire you. And again, like I said, whether you like it or not, you agree or not, that is just the reality. So our lives, they go in cycles of around 10 years. Now, side note here. Um, before, like when you're younger than 20, before 20, no one knows anything. All right. We're just getting by. And I'm sure you remember that, when you were a kid, middle of the afternoon, you go out, play with your friends, come back. You had no clue. You had no idea that there were bills to be paid. You would open the fridge and you would ask your mom and your dad, like, where's the bread? And you had no idea that someone had to pay for their bread. All right. So before you're 20, you actually know nothing. It is by the time that you turn 20 that you start to realize that there's a lot to this thing called life. Maybe you entered the university and you are being conflicted with some different ideas. Maybe you didn't go to university, but you started your own business, or you're holding a job and you see that it's not enough. Anyway, life starts at 20. That's what I want to know. That's what I want to say. So the seasons of life, I think we have 5 seasons, and we have to enjoy them well. And they are seasons from 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, and 60 onwards. All right. So the first season is the trial season. Like if you're 20, you're gonna relate to this, and if you're older than 20, you're gonna remember this. The 20 years old is the trial season. You're supposed to try everything. Not trial as a bad thing, but trial in meaning attempting. You're supposed to attempt everything. That's the time that you go for internships. That's the time you work for free for the people that you admire. That's the time that you try. Literally, you try everything. You don't know what you're good at. Maybe you grew up playing sports and you got injured, and that's all you know. So you go and try other different things, different professions, different jobs, and you've got 10 years. You don't have to rush. All right. And it's very likely that your generation is going to live you close to 100 anyway. So these seasons are probably going to be extended for longer periods. But let's just say from 20 to 30, you're supposed to try everything. Try as many things as you can. Don't stop. Don't focus. Don't forget focus. Forget that. Just try as many things as you can. Once you've done that, it's very likely that around your 20s or 30s, you will find 3 or 4 things that you're really good at. My case, for example, I'm good at communicating. I'm fairly good at sports, and I'm good at music. Those are the 3 things that I'm kind of good at. Now, if I were to make a career in music, I would probably fail. Sports, too late, probably not going to work, but I can still communicate. That's why I have my program. Like, my program is based on communication. It's created to help people who are unsatisfied with their lives, and they want to start something online. So I help them first find purpose, and once we find their purpose, their calling in life, we start something related to that. And if it's online, even better, because online is a monstrous of a thing. So I help people do that. There's a workshop coming up really soon that you can register to. It's free, and when you register, you get a summary of my book, The Icky Guide, Find Purpose, Find Life. You get an audio summary. You get all the information that we're gonna cover on our program, and then you can make an informed decision. Anyway, back to the story. 20 to 30, you try everything so you can find 3 or 4 things that you're good at. 30 to 40 is when you kind of become the specialist. You will narrow down those things that you enjoy, that you like, that you're good at. Good tips are you ask people around you, ask your family, ask your friends, ask the people that like you, what are you good at? What you could improve. And you can make a choice. Between 30 and 40, you can make a choice. You're going to play to your strengths, or you're going to become a generalist. I don't think generalists have a space in the future, but that's your call. Anyway, you narrow it down. How do you narrow it down? You double down on it. So you go deep. Now it's the time to go deep, not to go wide. It's the time to go deep, not to go wide. So you narrow it down, 20 to 30, you try everything, it doesn't matter. 30 to 40, you kind of find these 3 or 4 things. It takes you 3 or 4 years. Malcolm Gladwell, the journalist for the New Yorker, he has this theory of the 10,000 hours. You have to do something for at least 10,000 hours to say that you're any good at it. So what's 10,000 hours? It's the equivalent of 10 years, but it could be done in 5 years if you're doing it full time, no breaks, no holidays. But for 10, you do the same thing for 10 years, you become a specialist. I have become a specialist in communication. I love communication. I'm a preacher. I help start churches all over the world. That's my purpose. That's why I wrote the book, because I am a living proof of the concepts that I've developed and studied, and I'm super happy doing what I'm doing, living here in Australia. So 30 to 40, it's your refining era. It's going deep. 40 to 50, you become a specialist. That's when you go, you know what? This guy is good at that. You're recognized. So first, trial, 20 to 30. Second, narrowing down, refining. Third, 40 to 50, you become a specialist. People will recognize you for what you do. I'll give you an example. I was having a coffee this afternoon, right? I have a lot of stuff on YouTube and social media. I live in the Gold Coast, which is a beautiful place. I know a lot of people. I've been in too many rooms. So I'm sitting down at this coffee shop that just opened 2 days ago. And me and my friend are having a conversation. This guy walks by us and goes, I know you. You're that guy that talks about this, and that holds a free Bible school and all of it. It's like, yeah, you got it, bro. He's like, oh, I've seen your stuff somewhere. Why? Because I've been doing it for too long. I've been doing it since I'm 21. I started preaching before I started going to church, actually. So I've been doing it for too long. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing when you're recognized by what you do. So that's 40 to 50. I'm 41, turning 42. So you kind of get the idea. And I'm gonna do this for the next 10 years. Why? So I can reap the rewards. That's the fourth season. The fourth season, I said the fourth season. So when you get your 50, between your 50s and your 60s, that's your reaping season. Remember the story I told you about the tree in the beginning of this video? So 50 to 60, that's when the tree is, the fruit is ripe, is ready for harvest. That's when you go, you know what? I've sowed the seed for 20 years. Now it's time to get the reward. That's why you see people reaching their first million, talking about money now. Money is not everything, but first million, being really successful when they're 50 or close to 50. Now, in our generation, there's a lot of young cats doing a lot of things online, and they make a lot of money. But it's one thing to make a lot of money. It's something else to become free. Rich and free are two different things. I have many friends who are rich, but they're not free. Okay, it's a different deal. They still have to be there. I think that we are aiming for freedom here. So 50 to 60, you reap the fruits. It's the harvest time. You get the rewards. That's when you get maybe you get your house paid off if you're into buying houses. Maybe you're geographically and financially free, so you can travel around the world and you can do the things that you love. Maybe your kids are grown. I'm 41. By the time I'm 50, my kids are going to be grown, so I can enjoy my grandkids. I'm still healthy. I'm taking care of my health. So that's 50 to 60. Finally, you get your 60. That's your sage era. Now, the sage is when you go like, not necessarily. You don't have to be in pain, but when you're 60, that's the authority decade. And obviously, like I said before, we're probably going to live for longer in this generation. So this is going to be extended. So it's going to take longer for people to mature, longer for people to become specialists, longer for people to reap the rewards. But then there is a even longer season as a sage, as the wise guy who gives counsel out. So that's when you teach. That's when you become a teacher. That's when people come to you, like the guy I was sitting at the cafe this afternoon. He's 60-ish. So that's when people come to you and ask you that question. How? How would you do this? How would you do that? How would you handle this? Because you know how to teach. And if you can go any deeper, you can start asking the why questions. So this is what I wanted to talk to you about seasons. Most people get frustrated because they're out of season. It's not time for the harvest yet. And you can shrink that perspective or you can enlarge that perspective. But the reality is our lives, they kind of run in cycles of 10 years. And if you understand the seasons, you won't be frustrated, because when you're 30, unless you are the exception to the rule, you don't have to be really successful and give advice to everyone and have it all figured out, right? That's obvious. So if you understand the cycles, if you understand the seasons of life, you will be much more content with where you're at. And if contentment is a problem right now, maybe you're working at a job that you go, you know what? I find no meaning. This is heavy. I'm getting tired. I don't want to go to work. It's annoying. And you want to start something. You feel like you have something inside of you that you want to start, an online business or anything online. I would love to help you. I have a free workshop coming up really soon, and if you register for it, you will be taken to this live call, and on that live call, we're gonna spend some time together, and I'm gonna show you all the ropes to find purpose, start a business, and if we do that, hopefully you'll be successful, you make an informed decision, and you can join my program. So in 30 days, we can help you go from zero to hero and start your online business. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this. Be blessed. See you next one.